Welcome to The Explainer. I am absolutely pumped to be your guide today as we decode one of the most fascinating and honestly sometimes super frustrating aspects of human psychology, relationship communication. We're going to explore a framework that has literally shifted how millions of people understand affection, connection, and, well, each other.
Okay, let's dive into this. Picture this for a second. Dr. Gary Chapman is sitting at 30,000 feet flying somewhere between Buffalo and Dallas. The guy sitting next to him puts away his magazine, turns to him, and asks this exact desperate question. What happens to the love after you get married? You see, this man explained that he'd been married 3 times, and every single time, the relationship was just wonderful before the wedding, but completely fell apart right after. It was like all the love just evaporated. He was a successful, intelligent business owner, but he was entirely baffled by this emotional disappearance.
And honestly, who hasn't related to this on some level? I mean, have you ever felt like you were doing absolutely everything right in a relationship, but your partner or friend still felt totally unloved or unappreciated? It's a deeply universal relationship disconnect. It grabs our empathy right away because, well, it's a pain point so many of us have experienced firsthand. So, let's move into our first section. Where does love go? The disconnect. This is all about how well-intentioned couples often just completely miss each other's emotional signals.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what we're talking about. Early in Dr. Chapman's counseling career, a couple came into his office who had been married for 30 years. The husband was incredibly sincere. He told Dr. Chapman, "Look, I get home from work, I start the evening meal, I wash the dishes every night, I vacuum on Thursdays, I mow the grass." He felt he was doing everything he could possibly think of. But his wife just sat there crying, saying they felt like roommates. "He's a hardworking man," she said, "but we don't ever talk. We literally haven't talked in 20 years. He was pouring all his energy into chores, but her emotional tank was completely empty.
That brings us to Section 2, the 5 love languages, decoding the framework. Let's introduce a solution to this super common relationship problem. To solve this exact type of heartbreak, we have to look at a person's primary love language. Basically, this is a person's natural preference for how they express, understand, and receive love. Think of it like this, and this is a core metaphor here. Expressing affection in the wrong language is exactly like speaking French to someone who only understands Spanish. You can say the most beautiful things in the world, but the message simply isn't going to translate.
Let's move to end and see how this builds. Dr. Chapman actually sat down and read through several years of his counseling notes. He asked himself, when someone complains that their spouse doesn't love them, what are they actually asking for? He realized their answers consistently fell into 5 distinct categories. These are the 5 love languages. Let's break them down real quick.
First up, we have words of affirmation. For folks with this primary language, actions don't always speak louder than words. Hearing the phrase, "I love you," is great, but actually, scratch that. Hearing the specific, underlying reasons behind that love is what truly sends their spirit skyward. They absolutely thrive on unsolicited compliments and encouragement. On the flip side, insults are devastating and can leave them completely shattered, mostly because they just don't easily forget negative words. Next is acts of service. This simply means doing things to ease the burden of responsibilities weighing on your partner. For someone who speaks this language, love is an action. When you do the laundry, vacuum the floors, or help out with a difficult project, you aren't just performing a household duty, you are actively communicating love. For them, the absolute sweetest words they can hear are, "Hey, let me do that for you." Then we have quality time. I really love this quote from content creator Ruby Mabelu, who notes that for her, it's not about money or fancy things. She says, "I just want to spend time with you. I want to gist and have conversations." Right? For this love language, nothing says "I care" quite like giving your full, undivided attention. That means the TV is totally off, your phone is put away, and the chores are strictly on standby.
Our 4th language is physical touch. Now, it is absolutely critical to clarify that this isn't just about physical intimacy. We are talking about affirming touches that communicate warmth, safety, and care. It's about the simple gestures. It's getting out of the car and holding hands as you walk into a shopping mall. It's a pat on the back, or just a hand on the shoulder while pouring a cup of coffee. Those physical connections are what fill their emotional tank.
Finally, we have receiving gifts. It's super easy to mistake this language for materialism, but we really need to dispel that myth right now. The real value to the receiver isn't the monetary cost at all. It is the thought, effort, and intentionality behind the gesture. A gift is just a heartfelt, concrete symbol showing that you are known, prioritized, and deeply cared for.
Okay, Section 3, discovering your language, actionable advice. Let's pivot to how you can actually apply this.
So, the crucial point is, how do you figure out your own primary language and, just as importantly, your partner's? Well, pay attention to these 3 diagnostic steps. First, observe how they naturally express love to others. Often, we give love in the exact way we want to receive it. Second, notice what they complain about. Like, if they complain about a missed birthday or a thoughtless gesture, that strongly indicates a receiving gifts preference. If they say, "we never spend time together," that points straight to quality time. And third, listen to what they request. If they're constantly asking, "Did I do a good job?" they are directly asking for words of affirmation.
Now, Dr. Chapman actually first published these ideas way back in 1992. His strategy was to intentionally avoid heavy clinical psychology jargon so the book could reach the everyday common person. And this accessibility leads us perfectly into our final section, looking at how the world responded to the whole concept.
Section 4. Impact and Scientific Scrutiny. The verdict. Let's look objectively at how this landed. We are going to objectively examine both the massive cultural reception of the book and the scientific scrutiny it's faced from relationship researchers. Let's start with the cultural impact, which is literally staggering. The book achieved explosive commercial success, selling over 20 million copies. I mean, 20 million! It has been translated into 50 different languages globally. From American dating shows to cultural contexts spanning the globe, the framework has become a truly ubiquitous way people navigate modern relationships.
However, there is a distinct contrast between its absolute ubiquity in modern dating and the scientific consensus. While it spent almost 300 weeks on the New York Times bestseller list, which is mind-blowing, scientific studies on the actual validity of love languages have yielded pretty mixed or inconclusive results.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the perspective of relationship scientists. A 2023 scientific review evaluating the framework concluded that existing empirical research does not strongly support the core claims of having one strict primary love language. Instead, psychologists note that healthy, lasting relationships actually rely on a diverse mix of relational behaviors, rather than rigidly speaking just a single preferred language. The scientific critique warns that the framework can sometimes be just a bit too inflexible to be practical.
But whether you view it as a strict scientific rule or just a highly useful communication tool, the framework certainly forces us to evaluate our connections. Which leaves us with a final, provocative thought to reflect on. In your own relationships, are you truly speaking the same language, or are you just hoping to be understood? Take the moment to really think about that in your own life. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and hey, keep learning.